The fifth speaker, Marama Kamaiko Kishimoto. What's that supposed to be? What's that supposed to be? Marama Kamaiko Kishimoto.
Do it. I can't draw at all. It's terrible. I give up. Good afternoon, contest chair, fellow Toastmasters, ladies and gentlemen. Have you ever had a dream? Or really, my question should be, have you ever had a dream that has been destroyed by negative comments? When I was 8 years old, my art teacher, Mrs. Hall, peered over my shoulder at the picture I was painting and said, "What is that supposed to be?" It's terrible. And with those words, she destroyed my dream of becoming a children's book illustrator. That day, I went home from school, and my grandfather saw that I was upset. He looked me in the eyes, and he said, "Always remember, there is more in you than you think." But I didn't listen. I didn't believe him. And from that day onwards, I was convinced I couldn't draw. It became a kind of mental block. For 30 years. For 30 years, I hated drawing. Until last year, when my daughter came up to me, crayon in hand. "Draw me a giraffe, Mummy. Draw me a giraffe, please." "Oh no, I can't draw. I'm terrible at art." "Oh, Mummy, just try." My daughter was 5 and oh, so persistent. I knew she wasn't going to let it go. So I drew. And, well, it wasn't great. "Mummy, it looks like a dinosaur." But those words, "just try," made me think. Well, why don't I try? Why don't I learn to draw? So I went online. I found a course. And pretty soon, I was drawing. But then, I heard a voice. "What is that supposed to be?" It's terrible. It was my inner critic. It was Mrs. Hall, there in my mind, criticizing me. I nearly quit. I nearly gave up. But then I remembered those words. Just try. In order to overcome my mental block, I was going to have to fight Mrs. Hall. Well, not literally, she would be about 80 by now. But I had to fight the Mrs. Hall that was in my mind. Every time she popped up and said, "What is that supposed to be?" I would say, "It's a dog, obviously. Pum, pum!" Every time she said, it's terrible," I would say, "Well, what do you know? Pum, pum!" And as I began to fight, that voice began to fade, and my confidence grew and grew, and so did my opportunities. I started drawing games and flashcards and selling them online. And now I'm working on illustrating my first children's book. My dream from when I was 8 years old. By knocking over that mental block, by fighting my inner critic, pum, pum, I found there was more in me than I thought. But was it just me who suffered from these inner critics, from these mental blocks? I started seeing signs in the people all around me. My friend who kept putting off doing her icebreaker speech. My son who got upset when he felt like he couldn't do something. And my student who stopped coming to class and then stopped going to school and then stopped leaving the house and now spends all day alone in his room. I began to wish I could give them all gifts of confidence. Here, here, here. But it doesn't work like that. Confidence is not something that can be handed out. It's something that needs to be found inside yourself. My grandfather passed away a few months ago, but his words, "There is more in you than you think," remain with me forever. And now I want to pass them on to my friend, to my son, to my student, and to you. Ladies and gentlemen, do you have a dream? Or do you have an inner critic, a mental block trying to destroy it? Do you need to find your confidence inside yourself? If so, I have 3 pieces of advice for you. Number 1, as my daughter would say, just try. If you don't, you can't succeed. Number 2, knock over those mental blocks. Fight those inner critics. Pum, pum. And number 3, always remember there is more in you than you think. There is more in you than you think. Thank you.